Tonight, the major court decisions blocking most of President Trump's sweeping tariffs. One ruling found the emergency Trump claimed to justify the move exceeds any tariff authority delegated to the president. The White House blasting the ruling, saying it will cause a foreign policy disaster scenario. What happens now? We'll break it all down. Harvard hosts graduation amid that massive battle with the Trump administration. The Ivy League school with a temporary win, allowing them to enroll foreign students. Tonight, the dangerous and deadly storms on the move, hail, damaging wind, and flash flooding. The system will then shift east. Which areas are at risk?
We have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
It's been one wild political ride for Elon Musk. Tonight, he's officially out of the Trump administration. What happened as we look back at his few months trying to make major cuts to the federal government? The new drama today in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Our team is standing by to break down everything that happened there. The shocking airport surveillance. A passenger repeatedly attacks TSA agents. What we know about what happened and how he was allowed at the airport a day after being kicked off a flight for striking a passenger on board. A car goes airborne and slams into a roof. The driver pulled out alive. And apparently it's not the first time a driver missed a difficult turn.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is Prime with Linsey Davis.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linsey Davis. Thank you so much for streaming with us. We do begin with that dramatic tariff seesaw and the late ruling today, an appeals court giving the green light, for now at least, for some tariffs to go forward. But this comes after two other federal court panels in the last 24 hours decided Trump's bypassing of Congress by declaring a national emergency was unlawful. The back and forth is of very little comfort to investors and also retailers. The uncertainty is already causing some retailers to predict rising prices, most recently Macy's. This all comes as Elon Musk made up his mind to depart the administration and leave his role as a special government employee, but not before rocking the boat and expressing his displeasure about the Republican spending bill currently working its way through Congress. We'll have an in-depth report on Musk coming up. But first, our senior political correspondent Rachel Scott on the tariff whiplash and what happens now.
Tonight, tariff whiplash. After a federal court blocked most of President Trump's sweeping tariffs, saying he does not have the authority to do this, tonight an appeals court just ruling President Trump's tariffs can continue, at least for now. The tariffs have led to stock market swings, small business uncertainty, and now prices going up. Retailers suggesting they're paying the price. Walmart, Macy's, Ford, among those signaling there will be some price hikes because U.S. companies pay for these tariffs. Tonight, the White House fighting that federal court ruling that called the tariffs unlawful. President Trump had bypassed Congress, declaring a national emergency to impose the tariffs, something that's never been done before. That three-judge panel includes judges appointed by Presidents Reagan, Obama, and Trump himself. And they ruled that President Trump, using a national emergency declaration, exceeds any tariff authority delegated to the president. And then yet another federal judge ruling today the president does not have the power to, quote, unilaterally impose tariffs to reorder the global economy. So I asked the White House today, do they have another route to do this?
Is the administration actively reviewing other avenues, other options to carry out the president's trade policy?
The president's trade policy will continue. We will comply with the court orders, but yes, the president has other legal authorities where he can implement tariffs.
But then late today, after both of those rulings, yet a third ruling. An appeals court saying the president can keep going with some of those tariffs for now, as the appeals process plays out. On Wall Street, the market rallying before opening when investors thought some tariffs would be blocked. Some investors have begun saying about Trump and his tariffs that Trump always chickens out, taco for short. The president not happy when asked about that.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, isn't that nice? Chicken out. I've never heard that. 6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that. It's called negotiation.
And tonight, Elon Musk is done as a special government employee. The news coming after Musk broke with the president on his budget bill. Musk concerned about the level of spending that some estimate could add $3.8 trillion over the next 10 years to the deficit. Overnight thanking the president for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending.
Rachel joins us now from the White House. Rachel, what else are your sources saying tonight about Elon Musk?
Well, Lindsay, we are told that senior officials were frustrated by those comments from Elon Musk saying that he was disappointed in the president's spending bill that would increase the deficit and also undermine the work of DOJ. But the White House does insist that he did leave on good terms. In fact, I'm told that he will continue to serve as an unofficial advisor to the president, even possibly attending future White House meetings, Lindsay.
Rachel Scott for us from the White House. Rachel, thank you. The dangerous and now deadly storms are on the move tonight from Texas to the southeast into the northeast. Take a look at this time-lapse video of a massive supercell thunderstorm rolling across Oklahoma's panhandle. Austin slammed with high winds, hail as trees were pulled up from their roots. Lee Goldberg is timing this out in a moment. But first, ABC's Maria Villarreal has the latest from Texas.
Tonight, powerful storms targeting central Texas with the threat of high winds and more hail after scenes like this in Austin overnight. Golf ball-sized hail and torrential rain. Winds gusting over 80 miles an hour, snapping trees. Mary Escamilla shot this video from her front porch. Raging waters in North Austin, at least one person reportedly swept away and killed. Cars sheltering under a gas station canopy in Cedar Park. The roof of this gas station on the north side of Austin collapsing onto cars below. No one was hurt. The thunderstorms sweeping across the southern plains. This massive supercell looking like a spaceship hovering over western Oklahoma.
Stormy weather continues. Our thanks to Maria. Chief Meteorologist Lee Goldberg from our partner station, WABC, joins us now with the timing and the track. Hi, Lee.
All right, Lindsay, look at these supercell thunderstorms working through parts of West Texas and into southeastern New Mexico. These storms can produce 60-mile-per-hour winds, maybe some baseball-sized hail. We'll be watching places from Midland to Abilene to San Angelo as we go through the late evening hours. There are other areas of severe weather. As we watch parts of Florida, we actually had some severe storms even as south as Daytona, but from Jacksonville, Savannah, and Charleston could have some large hail and damaging winds, even a brief tornado. Tomorrow, that threat is going to shift to the East Coast. We'll see some strong storms in the afternoon from the Florida Panhandle across southeastern Georgia into places like Charleston, up to Raleigh, a wet evening commute in D.C., and then the heavy rain moves into the New York City area. A soaking, maybe some flooding goes through New England as we go into the day on Saturday. There is a flash flood threat that'll take us from the Mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley into the Northeast as we go through Friday and Friday night. Lindsay?
Lee Goldberg for us. Thanks so much, Lee. Wildfires in Canada are burning out of control, triggering mass evacuations and air quality alerts right here in the U.S. Video shows flames in the Canadian province of Manitoba, where the government has declared a state of emergency and is urging 17,000 people to evacuate. Smoke from the 22 active fires is reaching across the border into the U.S., triggering alerts for parts of Minnesota where sensitive groups could potentially face health impacts. There are developments tonight in a brutal attack on TSA agents at Miami's International Airport. Newly released video shows a man punching multiple agents at the checkpoint. ABC's Victor Oquendo has those details.
Tonight, the man seen here throwing wild punches at officers at a Miami TSA checkpoint is facing multiple years behind bars. It was December 28th, during the height of holiday travel. The night before, 28-year-old Cameron McDougall, a Canadian citizen, allegedly assaulted someone on a Copa Airlines flight from Panama City, Panama to Toronto, that flight diverting to Miami. Authorities say he was taken off that flight, but not arrested and allowed to book on another airline.
He was allowed to land, was not arrested, but the question is, did police tell any of the U.S. airlines that this guy had been violent on the previous flight?
He was back at Miami International Airport the next day. Watch as he passes through security and hides behind a wall. Several people pass him before he's seen punching a man walking by. Security tries to intervene. Then he storms back to the TSA checkpoint, where security cameras catch him throwing several punches at TSA officers until he's knocked down over a luggage cart and pinned down until law enforcement arrives.
Our thanks to Victor Akendo. Today, a former personal assistant to Sean Diddy Combs took the witness stand under a pseudonym in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of the rap mogul. Mia testified that for the first time she met Combs, he was in his underwear and that working with him was, quote, toxic and chaotic. She also testified about the alleged violence she suffered at the hands of Combs, saying, quote, he's thrown things at me. He's thrown me against the wall. He's thrown me into a pool. He's thrown a book at my head. She also said that Combs sexually assaulted her on more than one occasion. Combs faces 5 charges in total and has denied all allegations against him. We have team coverage again tonight as we unpack the latest in the ongoing trial. ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd will join us in a moment, but we begin with ABC News chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky, once again outside the courthouse. Aaron, what did we learn from Mia's testimony today?
It was some of the most harrowing testimony of the trial so far, and potentially some of the most consequential, because she described working for what she called a toxic, chaotic environment as she was employed by Sean Combs. And she said she was just months into her job as his personal assistant when he sexually assaulted her at the Plaza Hotel here in New York while celebrating Combs' 40th birthday. And while Combs has denied sexually assaulting anyone, she told the jury it was not the only time, and she recounted several other times when she said Combs sexually assaulted her, all part of what federal prosecutors say was the racketeering conspiracy. They've said that Mia was the victim of forced labor, including sexual activity.
And how did jurors react to her testimony? Much of it, I imagine, very difficult to hear.
It sure was. The courtroom fell silent. The jury was rapt. There were some audible sobs in the gallery from people who were there to support Mia. The jury didn't see much of her face. She kept her head down. The jury saw the part in her hair most of the time, not her eyes, but they could hear her sobs, the stilted speech, as she recounted how she felt she couldn't say no to Sean Combs. She couldn't say no to him for a sandwich. She said she couldn't say no to him for anything.
What can you tell us about Sean Combs' interactions with his attorneys in the courtroom?
Well, today this testimony, I think, really drew him in. He was seated back from the table, his legs stretched out in front of him. Occasionally he would shake his head. He would stroke his beard, which has been turning grayer and grayer as the trial goes on. One of his sons, as Mia was describing some of what she described, ended up hanging his head for a time. But when Combs walks in, he greets his family. The 3 sons came in a bit late, but he saw his mom, Janice, who was there, and the family let Combs know at the end of the day that they would be here every day of the trial, Lindsay.
And what are we expecting for tomorrow?
Mia's going to be back on the witness stand. She has already recounted several instances of violence and violent sexual assault. Perhaps there's more to come. And then she's going to be cross-examined. We expect that would take much of the day because the defense is going to try and say that she was in a professional relationship with Sean Combs for 8 years. She had points where maybe there were red flags. She said the first day she met Sean Combs, he was in his underwear. And why did she stay in that professional relationship for so long?
Aaron Katursky for us outside the courthouse here in New York City. Thank you so much, Aaron. And joining us now in studio to dissect more of Combs' trial is civil rights attorney and ABC News contributor Shauna Lloyd. Good to have you back. So just give us a sense on this day, what particularly stood out to you in court?
I'll tell you, when Mia testified about this experience she had with Cassie waking up out of her bed, she was screaming, he's going to kill me. They went out to the sea and they got on paddle boards. And she talked about this storm that was rolling in. And she said, I looked at the shore and I looked at the weather and I thought, is it better to face the weather or is it better to face Sean Combs? If that doesn't tell us something about where her state of mind was and the way she felt about the consequences, I thought that was very impactful.
But what about the defense's argument, essentially? Because she stayed with him for 8 years, as did Cassie Ventura, on and off for 11 years. Is there an argument to be made, hey, if he was so bad, why'd you stay with him for so many years?
Absolutely. I think we're going to see the defense lean into that. We're going to see them lean onto the fact that even she said it. When she was being sexually assaulted, she did not protest. She did not say no. She said she convinced herself that these were things that wouldn't happen again. So we're going to see the defense lean into that because they're going to say, why didn't you leave? If it was so bad, why would you stay with him for 9 years? But at the end of her testimony, what she did talk about was how the Me Too movement was not around back in those days. This was a very small held industry. Everyone knew each other, and she felt like she'd worked so hard to get where she was that she didn't want to see all of that thrown away and be blackballed. But we're going to see the defense get into the fact that she didn't leave.
Let's talk more about what we think. We can, I guess, kind of read the tea leaves about the defense's strategy based on how they've been cross-examining some of these witnesses.
Absolutely. I mean, what we're really seeing them poke holes in is this question of, one, consent. Were these things that you actually did or did not agree to? Because let's remember, consent can't be in your mind. Consent has to be verbalized. People have to have a conversation. And so without that verbalization, we see them honing in on that. We also see the defense consistently hone in on what the monetary benefit was to the individuals that are making the statement, because that also is going to impact what they're saying on the stand. And so we see the defense time and time talk about that as well.
Now, we have heard that allegedly Sean Diddy Combs has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Do you feel that that's having any impact at all, or will down the road as far as jurors are concerned?
Absolutely. When the defense have their opportunity to present their case in chief, we're going to see them really focus on that, because what they're going to say is that this is why he was having these mood swings and that it was not part of a criminal enterprise. They're going to focus very heavily on that, because if they break the enterprise, then the RICO charge is off the table. So they have to look at it and dismantle each charge separately. That's why the trafficking, the force and coercion is something you see them focusing on. What was your monetary gain out of this? What were the other things you were seeking to gain? Because was it that you were coerced, or that you wanted the benefit of what the job or the relationship may give you? Because they're trying to break those things individually for each charge.
In your mind, in your estimation, do you think that so far, and they're not finished yet with their case, but that the prosecution has made the case for racketeering?
I'll tell you, the first week I was very unsure. I couldn't see it. The second week I really didn't. I think we're starting to see it now. And what they're doing is a slow burn. They're taking painstaking time to layer each thing. So first it's this enterprise. Who was in the enterprise? Who's a part of the conspiracy? Who was furthering it? Then we heard about the trafficking, the escorts. So they're laying this foundation. And let's remember, they still have another 2 weeks of witnesses. So I expect that they're going to shore their case up very quickly.
So in those next 2 weeks, who do we expect them to call as far as the prosecution?
So what we're expecting to hear from is someone who was on the security staff. We're expecting to hear from the other victims and other testimony from witnesses that were nearby and employed in that organization. So that's going to be very interesting testimony, because they're going to add the color and the background. The very similar way that Mia talked about actually witnessing the experiences that Cassie testified, and that really solidified it. She talked about the sexual violence. She talked about the violence towards Cassie. That really made her testimony a lot more solid. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see throughout their case in chief.
They are hoping there's strength in numbers.
Absolutely.
All right. Shauna Lloyd, always appreciate your insight. Thank you so much. Now to Harvard tonight, and on this graduation day, the university has won a temporary reprieve in its battle with President Trump. A judge allowed Harvard to enroll foreign students. The State Department, meanwhile, announced it will, quote, aggressively revoke visas of some Chinese students. Why are they doing this? ABC's Selena Wang reports from Harvard's campus tonight.
Harvard celebrating graduation with a legal victory in its battle with the Trump administration after a federal judge temporarily blocked the president's ban on international students.
Welcome.
Today, a standing ovation for the school's president, Alan Garber, who's become the face of the resistance.
Members of the class of 2025 from down the street, across the country, and around the world. Around the world, just as it should be.
The Trump administration accuses Harvard of failing to confront anti-Semitic harassment and claims the school has coordinated with the Chinese Communist Party. Allegations Harvard denies. But tonight, a dramatic new escalation that could impact universities across the country. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announcing the U.S. will work to aggressively revoke visas of Chinese students, including those with connections to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in critical fields. Former ambassador to China Nicholas Burns, now a Harvard professor, telling us there's already a rigorous vetting process.
Those who are a security risk should not have a visa, but that probably excludes the vast majority of the applicants and the vast majority of the 277,000 Chinese students in the United States.
For Harvard students like Funzo Zhang from China, the last week has been a roller coaster.
That definitely sparked a new round of panic mode. It's definitely a lot of devastation, frustration, disappointment, anger, and uncertainty going on campus right now.
Selena Wang joins us now from the Harvard campus. Selena, talk to us about the ongoing legal fight at Harvard and what more do we know about the Chinese students impacted by the State Department's announcement?
Yeah, Lindsay, well, this broader legal fight between the Trump administration and Harvard University, that is going to continue to play out in the courts. In addition to this battle over international students, Harvard has also sued the Trump administration for blocking billions of dollars in federal funding, for refusing to comply with government demands to change its curriculum, its admissions policy, and end all DEI programs. A hearing on that federal funding freeze is scheduled for July. Now, when it comes to those Chinese students and the warning delivered from the State Department, Lindsay, we don't know how many could be targeted. But more broadly, I mean, it's graduation day here on campus. I've been talking to students and faculty. Some of them feel like this graduation day was overshadowed by this broader legal battle. They feel relief about the judge's decision from today, but they know that it's temporary. Some of these international students are still considering transferring, Lindsay.
A lot of tentacles to this. All right, Selena Wang from Harvard for us. Thanks so much, Selena. The Trump administration has released a Make America Healthy Again report that appears to cite studies that do not exist. The report from Health Secretary RFK Jr.'s MAHA commission contained numerous inaccuracies within its bibliography, from broken links to citing non-existent studies. When asked if artificial intelligence was used to help create the report, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt directed the question to HHS. HHS said, quote, minor citation and formatting errors have been corrected, but the substance of the MAHA report remains the same. Tonight, a man is wanted for shooting 2 police officers. Both are now in stable condition, but video shows the dangerous confrontation they survived. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has more.
Tonight, an urgent manhunt underway after this routine traffic stop in Ohio suddenly turned violent, ending in gunfire. Watch the police body-worn camera as the officers in Columbus, Ohio approach the vehicle just before 7 p.m. Wednesday, when the passenger jumps out and takes off. There's a chase, then that passenger opens fire, hitting both officers.
Shot fired. Officer down, officer down. I'm hit.
The other officer diving for cover. Police also releasing this surveillance video showing the passenger turn and fire. That passenger identified as 21-year-old Devontae Dixon. He's now facing charges of attempted murder and felony assault. Police calling on the public for help.
If you're listening and you know where this person is, please pick up the phone and give us a call.
Authorities say the driver was taken into custody, was cooperative, and later released.
Pierre Thomas reporting now to several alarming shark encounters along the East Coast just as the summer holiday season begins. There's a suspected shark attack that happened off North Carolina, and video from the Northeast shows a 20-foot shark amid boaters. ABC's Morgan Norwood is on the East Coast.
Tonight, with summer right around the corner, a string of shark scares on the East Coast. In North Carolina Wednesday, a possible shark attack.
26-year-old male bit by a shark.
Sean Barton bitten on the leg, frantically telling his niece to get out of the water.
I felt something bite down on calf, shin region. Immediately I thought, I think I just got bit by a shark, and I think I should probably get out of the water.
He needed nearly a dozen stitches. In Rhode Island, this giant of the deep, a massive 20-foot-long basking shark. That telltale dorsal fin spotted near boaters on Block Island over the holiday weekend. And this close call in Panama City Beach, Florida.
You're fine, it's right here.
A black-tip shark darting just feet from a woman wading in the water. Experts tonight with this advice if you spot a shark nearby.
The best thing to do to just quietly get out of the water. You don't want to splash and panic and try to attract the shark accidentally. Remember, these are wild animals.
Some potentially life-saving information to have there. Morgan Norwood joins us now from the Jersey Shore. Morgan, what do officials think is causing the rise in sightings?
Lindsay, first I want to point out that these shark sightings are extremely rare, but it seems that scientists are locked in on climate change for one of the reasons. They believe that the warmer waters are bringing these sharks closer to shore and changing their migration patterns, but also the way that they hunt. But bottom line, still very rare to have one of those shark encounters, Lindsay.
Well, that's good to know. Morgan Norwood for us. Thanks so much, Morgan. Two comedy legends become in-laws. Eddie Murphy's son, Eric, and Martin Lawrence's daughter, Jasmine, are now married. Murphy spilled the news on the Jennifer Hudson show, sharing that the two skipped having a big wedding and quietly tied the knot 2 weeks ago. Still ahead, the wild car crash, and this isn't the first time this has happened this year. And our in-depth report on Elon Musk's Doge tenure, what he did, and some of the reasons he may be out. Welcome back. It's been a wild political ride for Elon Musk, and tonight, as Rachel reported earlier, Musk is officially out of the Trump administration. This comes on the heels of him criticizing Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill in an interview. It caps a turbulent tenure as the chief of Doge, trying to slash government spending across the board. Jay O'Brien looks back at what Musk did in just a matter of months.
The most recognizable figure other than the president of this second Trump term, the chainsaw wielder. Headline-grabbing billionaire Trump backer behind a controversial overhaul of the federal government. Now, Elon Musk is officially out of the Trump administration. The world's richest man confirmed in this X post his time as a special government employee has come to an end. The culmination of a wild political ride.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
It started with record-breaking big-dollar campaign contributions to put Trump back in power and led Musk to an integral role in Trump's orbit, staying at his Mar-a-Lago club, taking an office right next to the White House, and traveling with the president on Marine One.
Yeah!
Musk wasn't a candidate in 2024.
This is what victory feels like.
And he's never been confirmed by the United States Senate. But he wielded significant power as the de facto head of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, an agency that didn't exist until a few months ago.
This is an order creating and implementing the Department of Governmental Efficiency, known as DOGE.
Okay, that's a big one.
And has gutted the federal government, all with the goal of streamlining its functions. The shakeup started on the first full day of Trump's second term. The Office of Personnel Management, which acts as a human resources department for the government, directed agencies to start putting together a list of workers they could easily get rid of. A week later, some 2 million federal employees received an email with an offer to resign and be paid through September or risk being fired. The subject line, "The fork in the road," the same phrase Musk used when he was slashing the workforce at Twitter. Fast forward just 30 days, and Musk and his team of DOGE personnel gained access into more than a dozen federal agencies, with the potential to see the sensitive and personal information of millions of Americans. Top officials from the Social Security Administration to the IRS resigned in protest. The first agency to fall was USAID, administering foreign aid across the globe. Tens of thousands of federal employees across the government were fired, from the National Institutes of Health to the Department of Education to the Forest Service. Many of the terminations abrupt, even chaotic. Officials with the National Nuclear Security Administration, in charge of the nation's nuclear stockpile, were fired in error. The Department of Energy then scrambled to rehire them. Workers at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, protecting American consumers, were first told to stay home before many of them were let go. Some showed up anyway. 75,000 federal workers took Musk and DOGE's offer to resign. And after that offer closed, other federal workers started receiving emails and calls like this.
You will receive your termination notice via email shortly.
Justine Ballou worked for the Department of Agriculture. 72 hours out from delivering her baby, she was fired.
Paid maternity leave is off the table, and my health insurance is set to lapse at the end of this month.
Federal workers' unions called many of the firings callous and indiscriminate. Musk laying out his approach to this audience in Dubai.
If you don't remove the roots of the weed, then
It's easy for the weed to grow back. But if you remove the roots of the weed, it doesn't stop weeds from ever growing back, but it makes it harder. So we have to really delete entire agencies, many of them.
But while helming Doge, the South African-born entrepreneur continued to run his other cutting-edge companies like Tesla and SpaceX, both of which have been awarded roughly $18 billion over the last decade in federal contracts, including by agencies the president asked Musk to look into. The billionaire saying this when pressed by ABC's Rachel Scott.
If you have received billions of dollars in contracts from the Pentagon, and the president's directing you to look into the Department of Defense, is that a conflict of interest?
Are going to do at the president's request.
Does that present a conflict of interest for you?
No, because you'd have to look at the individual contract and say, first of all, I'm not the one, filing the contract. It's people at SpaceX.
And Trump weighing in too.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest.
Entering government, Musk set a sky-high goal of cutting $2 trillion in federal spending, later changing that to $1 trillion. But as the billionaire businessman returns to the private sector, Doge claims it's currently only slashed $175 billion out of the federal budget through canceling contracts and leases and firing employees. And even that number is disputed and hard to verify. Looking back, Musk recently telling the Washington Post, the federal bureaucracy situation is much worse than I realized. I thought there were problems, but it sure is an uphill battle.
I think he wants to get the job done, get back to his businesses. That's what I think.
Trump White House officials now insist Musk is leaving on good terms and will still serve as an unofficial advisor to the president. And Musk's influence will likely be felt for years.
We have the stuff.
His companies are still deeply ingrained in government work, from NASA to the Pentagon. Hand-picked Doge staffers now have senior roles across the federal government. And the world's richest man still has billions to burn in any upcoming elections.
Our thanks to Jay O'Brien for that. Coming up, why the New York Times and Amazon are teaming up, and we go by the numbers on what we've learned so far in the drama-filled Diddy trial. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. Sean Diddy Combs' trial for sex trafficking and racketeering is nearing the end of its third week here in Manhattan. The trial is unusual in a number of respects, not just because it involves a celebrity, but because of the number of witnesses to his sex parties and the frequency with which they occurred. The trial is tonight's by the numbers. The judge told jurors at the start of the trial that it could run 8 weeks in all. A few days ago, the prosecution said that they could probably wrap their case over the next 2 weeks before handing off to the defense. The alleged offenses themselves span a 20-year period from about 2004 through last year. The key witness so far has been Combs' on and off girlfriend of 11 years, Cassie Ventura. According to her, she received a $20 million settlement from Combs after accusing him in a lawsuit of rape and abuse. That suit then prompted federal investigators to file the current charges against Combs. Ventura is not Combs' only accuser. More than 80 people have filed sexual assault lawsuits against him since 2023. That number pretty evenly split between women and men. And at least 17 of them say that they were under the age of 18 when they were allegedly assaulted. Finally, Combs faces 5 charges in all, 1 for racketeering, 2 for sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 for transportation to engage in prostitution. Combs has denied all charges. Still ahead, United and JetBlue are teaming up, but don't call it a merger. So what will the benefits be to customers? And she just received a Tony nomination for her role in the Broadway revival of Gypsy. Joy Woods is here talking about the advice given to her by co-star Audra McDonald. Stay with us. A Legacy newspaper embraces AI in a new way. A car crashes into the roof of a building, and it's not the first time. Plus, why the original Hamilton cast is reuniting on stage. These stories and more in tonight's rundown.
The New York Times and Amazon have agreed to a deal allowing Amazon to use editorial content from the Times for AI-related purposes. The New York Times company says the agreement lets Amazon use editorial from the Times, NYT Cooking, and The Athletic. Amazon will display summaries and excerpts of Times content within products and services like Alexa. and use it to train its proprietary models. Surveillance video shows the moments a car crash-landed onto the roof of a veterans hall in Missouri. Police in Excelsior Springs believe the car was driven off a nearby road and over a cliff before landing on the roof Wednesday morning. The driver was taken to the hospital to be evaluated, and the crash is under investigation. Incredibly, it's the second time in just a few months that a vehicle has crashed through that same roof. Under the new Blue Sky partnership announced today, JetBlue and United Airlines will sell seats to each other's flights and allow customers to apply bonus miles and loyalty benefits across both airlines. JetBlue will also give United access to slots at New York's JFK International Airport, which will allow United to offer flights from there as early as 2027. The partnership will give United customers more access to flights in the Northeast and allows JetBlue flyers access to hundreds of additional domestic and international flights. Major League Baseball is starting a partnership with the new Women's Professional Softball League. As part of the first-of-its-kind deal, MLB says it will help establish and grow the Athletes Unlimited Softball League through marketing and financial support, as well as featuring games on MLB platforms. The AUSL's inaugural season will feature 4 teams playing games in 12 different cities. Opening day is June 7th. The original Broadway cast of Hamilton is taking the stage once more. The smash hit musical will celebrate its 10th anniversary at the upcoming Tony Awards with a special performance featuring Lin-Manuel Miranda, Leslie Odom Jr., Philippa Sue, and many others from the cast. No details were given for what song or songs will be performed at the June 8th ceremony.
Quinta Brunson, this is your city, and you are ours.
Abbott Elementary star Quinta Brunson was honored in her native Philadelphia with the Key to the City. The ceremony took place at Brunson's former school, the Andrew Hamilton School in West Philadelphia, which also helped inspire the show.
It is crazy surreal being in this room right now. I used to look at this stage like, man, I hope I get to perform on that stage one day. And now I'm sitting up here being honored. I used to eat lunch right back there. This school is part of the architecture of Abbott because I had to explain to people in LA that schools could be auditoriums and lunchrooms.
It also included a celebration of a new mural at the school that Brunson helped design. Disney is the parent company of ABC and ABC News.
Joy Woods catapulted to fame after her roles in The Notebook and Little Shop of Horrors, and she's just received her first Tony nomination for her role as Louise in the classic musical Gypsy. The Broadway show has received 5 Tony nominations in all, including Best Revival of a Musical, and follows the unrelenting efforts of a mother, played by legend Audra McDonald, working to make her 2 daughters stars. Let's take a look.
We all take a bow, including the cow. Your business is lousy and slow. With herpes, them, Louise's verve. Now all we need is someone with nerve.
Joy Woods joins us now. So good to have you here. We're going to be humming that song in our heads the rest of the day, wherever we go. Gypsy is such a classic play, but this is the first time that you actually have Black women as the lead. What kind of impact do you think that has ultimately on the performance?
I mean, I think the difference is the way that we look and the way we move through the world. And so that interpretation of the piece is going to be different just off of that alone. We actually haven't changed any of the script or any words or anything to match the experience of the people on stage, but I think it's the context is different, so it comes out different and it hits different. So it's really fun to explore what it looks and feels like for us.
We already mentioned that Audra McDonald plays the role of your mother. She has won 6 Tony Awards. Did she impart any advice on you with regard to this role or beyond?
Yeah, I mean, I really, really struggled with this when we first started, and you know, we try not to read reviews or anything like that, but I think just feeling how I was feeling stepping into such a coveted role in such a show like this, I didn't know if I had the chops yet, so I asked her for some advice, and the best thing she said was just to not let anyone or anything take away your power, you know, because it could even be the smallest comment from someone you don't know, or
Sure.
it could be a comment online, or it could be someone that you do know that it says something that they don't know rubs you the wrong way, but it's a thing of staying within yourself and remaining present with yourself and keeping your power in that way that helps us get through.
It's helpful advice really for everybody, no matter what
Yeah,
your
for
lot
sure.
in life. And you play this character 8 times a week. I'm sure you hear this a lot, but how do you keep it fresh? How do you, do you re-engage every performance?
I mean, yes. I'm really lucky to be on stage with the people that I'm on stage with, because they're such generous and present, giving actors. And you can't help but drop in completely when you're on stage. I mean, I'm always scared that they know if I'm even close to phoning it in.
That's
so,
right.
and you want to learn, you want to be in it. So, yeah, it isn't an issue to remain present and full and fresh with it every night.
You've said before that your family has really supported and played an active role in your interest in music and performing and dance. How would you say that they have shaped you as an actress and performer?
Well, I have a lot of dramatic siblings. And we were a family that enjoyed watching movies and movie musicals and quoting TV shows and movies and things and all of that growing up. A lot of VeggieTales sing-alongs.
Oh, fun.
So music in that way was always around. My mother was a dancer, and some of my siblings are musicians. So the music that they brought into the house, and my mom always fixing my body if I was doing some sort of dance at home, sort of just crafted that in a way.
There are so many people who really want to crack into this industry, right? Who want to sing or dance, and to be on Broadway is really unthinkable for a number of people. What do you think it was, if there is a thing that really made this dream come true for you?
That made the dream come true for me? I'm not sure about that. I'm really not sure about that, because I think I started working so quickly after I started school, and then the pandemic happened, and then we go back for a few months, and then I was making my Broadway debut, and then I was going on to the next show and the next show and the next show. I've been so lucky, and I'm so grateful for the experience that I've had. And I don't feel like I've had a moment to make up a dream, for it to feel like it came true. I really just feel like I just feel like I'm on the ride and trying to take it all in while I'm here.
Well, congratulations to you, Joy. Continued success. Gypsy is now playing at the Majestic Theater on Broadway. It stars, of course, Joy Woods, Audra McDonald, Danny Burstein, and Jordan Tyson. Finally tonight, a real-life sister act. World News Tonight anchor David Muir has more on a delightful viral moment.
Tonight, the 2 nuns with their voices and their moves reaching millions. They're being called the new Sister Act. Sister Marizelli and Sister Marisa on a Brazilian Catholic TV show talking about their work to reach the faithful. When Sister Marizelli begins to sing a song called Vocation, being called to religious life.
Vocação,
Sister Marisa joining in.
Ajuda aí.
But then, no one was expecting this. Sister Marizelli beatboxing, and they weren't done. Standing up, they had moves too. And then one of the hosts, the deacon, joining in. The performance going viral. Tonight here, the sisters on the moment.
Beatbox.
Sister Marizelli saying beatboxing, dancing, and the songs themselves are tools that God uses to reach the hearts of the people we work with. Sister Marisa saying, we didn't expect the audience to be so many young people, all kinds of people. Tonight, many who have seen this now comparing it to another Sister Act. The famous movies, the nuns helping to move their community through music. Tonight, the real-life Sister Act, hoping they'll do the same.
I think the best one I heard about them was None DMC. Very clever. Our thanks to David for that. And before we let you go, Beyonce pulled off a gender reveal for one lucky fan. The superstar singer spotted the fan's sign asking her to help with the reveal during her Cowboy Carter tour stop at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Beyonce took a moment from the show to open an envelope as the audience anxiously waited to see if it was a boy or a girl. The letter inside revealed the word cowboy. And that is our show for this hour. I'm Linsey Davis. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC News Live for more context and analysis of the day's top stories. Thanks so much for streaming with us.